Hey, how's it going? I recently released a new single named The Voices for my project Dead Rituals. And in this video, I wanted to talk a bit more about the production, songwriting, and all the choices that went into the making of the song, besides mixing and mastering. So let's check out the track and I'll do a live commentary. So the intro here is a filtered electronic drum kit, and the idea is to start with a very low dynamic, something that allows the band coming in to sound more powerful when eventually it hits. This intro section is instrumental, but there is still something that replaces the lead vocals to get attention, and in this case, it's a clean guitar. It serves as a lead instrument for that part in order for the audience to focus on something as an anchor to drive the song.
I was looking for something, searching for lights in the distance again. All I feel is the bitter taste as we're drowning in the sea. Different voices, it's like you on the wrong choices again. Invisible voices over us, they're shaking like a leaf when you fall to the ground now.
The first verse is an opportunity to empty out the song a little bit. Instead of just continuing on with that wall of guitars in the intro, it's an opportunity to focus more on the drums and the groove. The toms are kind of on the forefront here, driving the rhythm with the bass and having the guitars more as a background color. So there's a little bit of a dynamic contrast between loud and quiet. The verse is kind of split into two separate sections, and the second part is a pre-chorus, and it gets progressively fuller. This is a way to tell the audience, hey, something is going on, something's about to happen. There's also a crescendo. It's a filtered synthesizer effect that leads into the chorus.
I don't think you understand at all the way you move me like a star, and it's what about above the ocean. I don't think you understand at all that we're running out of time now, running out of time again, running out of time again.
The chorus is split in two as well, and the drums delineate that change. The first half of the chorus has 16 notes, hi-hats, and it kind of allows the song to feel more of a urgent, fast-paced beat. Whereas the second half, the drummer hits the crash cymbals, which kind of makes the song heavier and creates a little bit of contrast between the more like rapid fire flow of the first section versus the louder and more full second part of the chorus. There's also an extra guitar that comes in along with the main rhythms, which plays an octave higher. And that's also a way to further fill up the sound and create a sense of fullness and dynamic augmentation for the chorus. The effect I wanted to give is to go from loud to louder. The drummer Charlie Amendola did an amazing job on this track, and he brought in a lot of cool ideas that really help lift up the arrangement and take it to the next level. This instrumental bridge is the first bridge of the song, and it allows some repose from the weight of the chorus. Everything kind of shifts here. There's room for softer dynamics from the way the drums are played to the guitars taking a backseat and going for some kind of thinner, clean arpeggios. The bass locks in with the kick drum going for a 4 on the floor type of pattern. I was kind of inspired by older dub and reggae or ska records, but I wanted to kind of contextualize that sort of rhythm into a small break to shift the landscape of the song momentarily.
I was looking for something to change, hoping for something that never came my way. All I got is a night of black rain once again.
The second verse is kind of similar to the first, but there are some differences, not only to kind of not go for a copy-paste kind of vibe, but to further play around with the song's dynamics, instead of having the large tom groove right away, there's a sticks pattern along with the main kick and snare. There's also a different vocal melody closing out the first part of the second verse, which is me using a lower register. And I was kind of trying to do my best impression of Morrissey or the Smiths and kind of go for that lower quality. At the end of it, there's a reverse delay, kind of repeating the very last phrase just to give it a little bit of a crescendo effect into the pre-chorus.
Voices, I can hear them through the noises in the dark. Invisible forces over us, but it's alright if you play the part.
The second pre-chorus is kind of similar to the first, as in more vocals come in, the tom groove resumes, just like in the first half of the song. But what's interesting here is that the end of it, it's kind of truncated. The vocals are not the same syllable count as the first one, and that's kind of to give that drum feel a little bit more space. There's also room for some delay noise that's from a guitar pedal that I kind of twisted the knobs randomly to have as much noise as possible to give that part a bit more chaos, a bit more unpredictability, which works really well in conjunction with that drum feel, creating a sense of almost like a live performance rather than a studio recording.
I don't think you understand at all the way you move me like a stone and float above and above the ocean. I don't think you understand at all that we're running out of time now, running out of time again.
The second chorus is pretty much the same as the first, same exact concept of having a more dynamic and fast feeling first half versus a heavier second half with more cymbals, more guitars, and more vocal parts. The verses are more bare bones with just one main vocal part and a few harmonies here and there just to give accents, whereas the choruses have a lot of vocal overdubs, doubles, harmonies, just to create a contrast between the vocals in the verse and the vocals in the chorus.
Is it too late now? Is it too late now? Is it too late now?
The second bridge is an opportunity to focus more on the ambience of the song. That's where the kind of shoegaze, dream pop elements of this track shine. There are no main rhythm guitars, it's just ambience and textures, mostly with guitar pedal tweaking and stuff like that. But instead of just having it as empty as possible, the drums kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting to keep the energy of the song going. I didn't want it to be a full stop and just ambience. I wanted the drums to still go for a kind of driven rhythm that makes the actual break even more powerful when the drums eventually stop and there's a little bit of a pause and then a drum fill comes in before the third and final chorus of the song. That drum fill in particular was something that in my mind felt like a little bit of a Queens of the Stone Age, Dave Grohl homage type of part, and it brings a lot of energy as a drop into the third chorus.
I don't think you understand at all the way you move me like a stone and float above and above the ocean. I don't think you understand at all that we're running out of time now, running out of time again.
The third chorus has a different drum beat, something more linear and driven, and this was one of Charlie's great ideas for the song. It kind of allows the third chorus to not just be a repeat of the first two, it's also a perfect way to lead into the guitar solo part. Initially, this part had a raw, kind of more out of control and improvised guitar solo that was more aggressive, but I scrapped that in favor of something more melodic and controlled. I really like the idea of these single note melodies, and the inspiration from that came from two main different sources. Surf music from the 60s, the sound of that guitar has a spring reverb, some tremolo, and a kind of combo amp type of vibe. Another main source of inspiration for that part was Twin Peaks, actually, the TV show, especially that soundtrack, the main theme from Angelo Badalamenti. And in doing so, I try to mimic that feel of the baritone guitar by juxtaposing the main guitar part with some bells, a xylophone actually, which is an octave higher. And that also helps the main guitar cut through the mix. The ending section has room for one more vocal refrain that was sort of borrowed from the main chorus. And the guitars are getting way heavier with a big muff pedal going for that fuzz, heavier, more distortion kind of vibe. And the very final chord is also underlined by more of that delay, chaos, and feedback and random noise, which kind of helps that song feel more like a live, spontaneous performance rather than something that was constructed in the studio. There you have it. Thanks for checking out the song breakdown. If you like the track, you can check it out on your favorite streaming platforms, Bandcamp and YouTube. Please subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I'm actually planning on doing more videos like this where I break down a song in terms of structure, arrangement, and songwriting rather than just the mixing part. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, let me know. Maybe I can do something for one of my other songs or even somebody else's songs that I could break down this way.